Well, missionary work began in Sierra Leone, West Africa in the early 1900s when the Christian Missionary Alliance denomination came into the country and made mission stations to reach into the interior. In the 1920s, the first missionary church missionaries took over the work from the Christian Missionary Alliance. And then in the 1950s, Bill and Ruth Harrigan came in to start a new work with the Alunkas right up near the Guinea border. Bill and Ruth Harrigan were some of the first fellowshippers to ever be in Sierra Leone. They predated Fellowship Missionary Church by quite a few years, but they are the parents of Steve and Sheila Harrigan and then Dan Harrigan, who has passed away. Fellowship has a strong history in Sierra Leone. Pat and Warren Crawfus were there, Timothy Warner was there, and Gwen DeSelm was born there. So our church is stanced from history to continue to make an impact in this country. Our first year in Sierra Leone, we were in the village of Yifing, which is in the bend of a river, and we felt like that was paradise, the most beautiful, safest place on earth.
We were very excited to be there with 3 preschoolers. I thought I was in paradise, and of course Dan had wanted to go back to where he grew up. Through all the challenges, I would always say that those years that we had in Sierra Leone, for me personally, were ones of the closest intimacy with God. And it was the highest and the lowest points in my life, but of great growth.
We went out in '87 with our kids.
Sierra Leone is, if you split it in the middle, the lower half is very much tribal, animistic, with a Christian overlay. A lot of the early missionaries had a lot of influence there. The north part, where most of the missionary church is at, is Islamic and that worship of the spirit world.
It's really challenging for those that live in the country because their families are Muslims. Because of the pressure to be in the Muslim community, they're always being pushed to try to come back to Islam. They may not get help on their farms, they may not get financial help, but the community as a whole is wrapped around Islam. And so when you're a Christian, it can sometimes be very much of a persecuted lifestyle. Once you become a Christian, you are shunned by your family many, many times. That just becomes a very hard road for the Christians as well as a church to continue and to prosper.
The people of Sierra Leone are so warm and friendly and willing to help you, but like people everywhere with their own struggles, they were working from day to day to get food on their tables. They were subsistence farming out with the hoe and sending their children to chase the birds away from the crops. They had many more challenges than we did, but very gracious and accepting people.
When the war came, it just made it harder because the missionaries left. The facilities where they were getting Bibles and different materials in was kind of put to a halt. And so the church kind of went through a time of just really withdrawal.
All of the people I know had met had now lived through that Civil War, and I can't imagine the brutality that happened. The people are not that way. It was the rebels that came in from other places, stirred up the people and caused this to happen. The people I know were very peace-loving, and I'm looking forward to going back and hearing the stories. I understand they're devastating stories.
West Africa, where we came from, has been in many ways forgotten. Before the Civil War, we had a community of believers that we connected with that were Yalonka, Karanko, different tribal groups. During the war, everybody ran. They ran, we ran, some stayed behind. And so some, when we were in Guinea, we fled north into the country of Guinea, and some of them came there, and we were there able to connect with them. In recent years, I've been able to go back, and then with technology, they have cell phones now everywhere throughout the country, and that has created an incredible opportunity. I've been able to call them on a weekly, monthly basis. We pray together. We'll spend 10, 20 minutes on the phone praying together, encouraging each other. I'm getting updates from them. And so it's been just a total change of how we've done things as compared to the past.
We're just trying to help them to see there's more out there that cares about them. They're not alone in this world. There are people over here that pray for them. There are people over here that really care. Maybe in the future, maybe there'll be more that will come out to let them know, hey, we're coming alongside of you.
To not encourage that, to not come alongside and say, we have not forgotten you, we have not abandoned you, is so important. And to come and say, we want to come together with you.
It's very discouraging to be a single pastor out in a village all by yourself, and the tendency is just to think the world has forgot you. So I think our role as we go back is just to bring a word of encouragement, to say that they're not forgotten,